This is a compilation of all the videos for the Ultimate Chart Tools Quick Start Guide. In this segment, we're going to talk about Pro OSF files and the general settings to use those. First, I'm going to take you through the different types of Pro OSFs. And this is the path, C drive, chart, tools data, project OSFs, where I have my files stored. And first I'm going to show you this is 3 Pro OSF files, one for displaying the different defaults for like colors and fonts and stuff, miscellaneous, and then we have the rules, which are the rules by which the bands are created. In this case here, you notice that there is no interval or asset indicated. So this would be applied to any chart that you pointed toward this directory. And then here's an example for a 60-minute interval. So if you had we were loading the files and pointing toward this, anytime you loaded a 60-minute chart, regardless of the asset, it would load these rules. This here is for the micro ES, and it's a 60-minute interval. So in this scenario, if you were loading the files and pointing to this directory, it would only load these settings for the micro ES on a 60-minute interval. And here's an example of no matter what interval, if you were pointing and loading these files for the Japanese yen, it would load these settings regardless of the interval. It could be minute, it could be day, it could be tick, and it would load these settings because the asset JY is chosen. So let me show you where you load these. You see this OSF General Settings area, and so this is the path. So if I want to load a specific set of files, I have to tell it the path. So I'm going to go here. And so in this scenario, I'm just going to load these skin defaults. So I'm just going to copy the address. And then paste that in between your quotes here. So you can see that's where I'm pointing. And so that is a skin file that I was going to load. So I've got that set to true. And then I hit OK. And it will actually go and load those files. And you can actually verify that they've been loaded by looking at the Easy Language print log, and it shows you here loaded OSF file, and then it gives you the path and tells you it loaded the ProSkin defaults. So that way you can actually verify whether or not an OSF was loaded using the Easy Language print log. So that is a little bit about OSFs, and as we choose to provide Pro OSFs on the website that you can load and use for different applications and assets. It will be important that you understand how these work and to be able to know what you're loading. So that gives you a quick overview of that. After you've been playing with your basic tools and you want to save those settings and use them on every chart, I'm going to show you how to save a study group. Okay, so I've applied tools to this chart and I've made a bunch of changes, as you can see, to the settings. So now I want to save this as a study group. So I'm going to go to Studies, Edit, and there's a button right here that says Save Study Group. I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to give it a name. Let's call it Lisa Settings. And then I'll close that. Now, when you want to put these settings on a new chart, all you have to do is go here to Studies, go to Add Study Group, and then we're going to go down here. There's my settings, and you can see there's the basic chart tool indicator. You can either tell it to replace all the settings and studies on the chart, and I suggest you prompt for editing so you can turn on and off whatever features you want. So hopefully that will help you get started with the basic tools. In this segment, we're going to review the Dump Settings in Use function. For the Ultimate Chart tools, the Ultimate Compare spreadsheet will be used for the setting comparisons. This video actually shows using the standard chart tools comparison file. So let's say maybe you have some settings on your chart that you really like for a particular asset or interval, and you want to save a copy of those. One of the ways you can do that is you can actually dump the settings on your chart. You can also use it in the event that maybe you're not sure exactly which settings you have on the chart and you just want to double check and make sure that things are set appropriately before you start to trade. So we're going to go down here, and this is toward the bottom. So right here, Dump Settings in Use, we're going to set this to true. And you can dump them to a file. I'm going to set that also to true. And this is where it's going to dump it. So you have to have a Chart Tools folder on your computer in order to have this not give you an error when you turn this on. And then the next piece of it, Chart Tools Settings for Use, that is the name that's put on the front end of the file name, so you know what type of file that is. And I'm going to go ahead and tell it to dump it as a CSV so we can put it into Excel. Okay, you can see that it has already dumped the file, and so you can see it's got that first part, Chart Tool Settings Used For. Then it will tell you the asset, the interval, and then it's going to give you the year, the month, the day, and even the time of day. So 16:49 and 39 seconds. So let's open this up. And this is what your file will look like. So it will show you, we haven't talked about OSF files yet, but if you use custom OSF files to put specific settings into your chart tool, it will show you that what files were loaded. And then this shows you all your settings, even down to the colors you use for different things. So you can see it's a complete list of all the settings and the setting values. And then, so that can come in very handy. So if we want to look at the dump file and see how these settings compare to the standard default settings, we have the ability to use that through the standard compare worksheet. So let me show you how to do that. This is the compare chart tool setting standard, and we have some instructions in there for you. But right here, you can go to this feature right here to compare the settings, and it will show you if there's a difference between the settings you have and the default settings for the tools. So the first thing we have to do is go to the Dump Settings tab, and we need to pull the data from the other file. So if you go to this file, click up in the A1, hit Control-Shift-End. That will highlight all your information. Then you can hit Control-C to copy it. Then you'll go over to your other file, and you're going to click on this yellow space right here. And we're going to paste 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to hit the button here to filter the data. And then what this will show us is anywhere where there's a difference between the default settings and the settings for which we have loaded on our chart. So you can see that you can actually quickly filter by the color and quickly see everything that is different. And that can be very handy when you want to make sure that you have the correct settings on your charts. Now that we're on the web page, sndsoftware.com, we're going to log in. And we're going to do a sign up. And we want to sign up with email. The password and say sign up. So, and you'll see the success. Your request has been sent, and they will notify you via email when your request has been approved.